Russell Westbrook made a shocking move with the Lakers before retiring, and now Los Angeles has been rocked again as the Lakers are sold for a record $12.5 billion. But the biggest bombshell is still coming.
Now we know. Draft night just got a lot more exciting. Russell Westbrook is going to be a Laker. It looks like the deal is done. And now it's being reported that they have agreed to the deal. Final details will be coming down, but it looks like Russ, the human triple-double machine. You live in that city. You're our NBA insider. This is sort of like, wait, he's now with LeBron and AD. Kind of translate what this deal means for LA for us.
I'm also told by this source that this could be the end of the Alex Caruso era in Los Angeles, sort of a cult figure here in LA, an unrestricted free agent. And this source tells me that not everyone in that Lakers organization.
But that blockbuster move was only the beginning. The next twist would shock Los Angeles even more, because the story of Westbrook was far from over.
Russ leaves the sport as the all-time leader in triple-doubles, 209. He averaged a triple-double in 4 separate seasons, more than every other player in NBA history combined. He did not get that ring, Ramona, but what will you remember the most about Westbrook's career?
Honestly, just how hard he played. We're in this era of load management, and, there's a question of guys play every night. This man played every night. He played every minute and gave every bit of energy that was inside of him, and then some energy. I don't even know where he found it, because that's how he became Russell Westbrook. He was not, I covered him at UCLA, and he was not a highly recruited guy. He had one other scholarship offer before UCLA came into the picture, and he made himself into the superstar he became. And I think that really is his legacy of just a self-made man. He really earned every bit of his NBA career, and I'm happy for him. He gets to go on his own terms.
Yeah, me too. Loved watching him play. Loved covering him. Obviously, one of the architects of the tunnel fits too. I mean, he was way ahead of his time with the fashion.
And just when his legacy seemed to be the final chapter, another Laker bomb exploded. This time, it wasn't about a player. It was about who controls the franchise.
An NBA sale, Josh Kushner and Bob Iger are buying the Lakers for a record $12.5 billion per our Ramona Shelburne, who's sitting right here this morning. The sale comes just under a year after Mark Walter took control of the franchise when his bid was approved by the league back in October of 2025. Walter told Ramona in a statement, "Owning the Los Angeles Lakers has been one of the great honors of my life, an extraordinary investment. But what I will carry with me is the community, the fans, and a city that treats this team as family. I'm grateful to Jeannie Buss, the Buss family, the players, and the staff for welcoming me into this chapter. The Lakers belong to Los Angeles, and I have every confidence the best is still ahead."
I've checked in with sources around the league, I'm sure, as we all have, and the biggest question mark I keep getting back to me is why? Is this somehow in relation to the investigation, the federal investigation going on into Mark Walter's other business interests outside of his ownership of the Dodgers and the Lakers and the Sparks? We're going to find out. We're going to keep asking these questions, but on its face, we can say, yes, that's a great job. You make $2.5 billion in 14 months.
Yeah, he flipped the house very quickly.
Exactly.
Yes.
But the way he talked about this team when he initially purchased it is that he was going to be basically the stakeholder for the rest of his career, the rest of his life. This is a legacy type of entity. This isn't a building that you just flip like a house, right? And so there's some major question marks here. And I think there's also some question marks about the initial sale from the Buss family to the Walters, because 14 months later, $2.5 billion more it's worth. So
it's worth more because of the expansion, right? So if your house, if the neighborhood, the house next to you sells for $10 billion, your house is worth more, especially if it's a legacy.
But we didn't know about expansion 14 months ago?
Yeah, that's true. But I'm just saying the numbers have gotten real. I think when people thought about expansion, it was seen as 6 to 8 billion at the time. I think it's going well north of that now. And I think that it was a smart pivot.
Well, yeah, I mean, a big picture here. Like this is the Lakers. This is not usually how we talk about the Lakers. Are sort of more in flux right now, seemingly, than I kind of would assume a team like the Lakers would be, right? Like you have ownership flip like an Airbnb. We don't know what's going on with Jeannie Buss. We don't know what's going on with the Pelinka and the folks in there. Like this seems like there's more chaos in the Lakers organization than you should.
The Buss family is still have their, I believe it's between 17 and 18%. That's
so
not part of
that will remain.
That will remain.
Okay.
I don't know what happens to this agreement that she had with Mark, that she would be the controlling owner for 5 years. My guess is that goes with the sale.
Out the window, basically.
I don't think she has that same agreement with Bob Iger and Josh Kushner. I think this all happened very quickly. This will take a couple months to go through at least, and there's a whole process it has to go through. So right now, the phrase I heard from one Laker employee was business as usual. The season's starting. They're getting ready. But Dave, you know this league. You know.
So
let me be big.
Let me ask you guys this, and feel free to answer. Either of you or both of you. You said business as usual. How does this affect the status of the head coach, J.J. Redick, who, by the way, has, I would imagine, a relationship with Bob Iger, if I recall correctly, or Rob Pelinka and their job status? Are they having to prove themselves here now moving forward?
I would expect so.
Yeah.
I mean, look, that you buy a team, you're going to want to hire your own people. And the people in place are very good. So Mark Walter and his group just went through an evaluation process with everyone. They've kept people. They've hired new people. And I'm sure the new owners will do the same thing once they're in place and hitting the ground running.
J.J. Redick got an extension after his rookie year as a head coach with the Lakers. By understanding, it aligns his contract with Rob Pelinka's, and the understanding, I don't think Jeannie has a contract, but the 5-year window for her to continue to be the acting governor. I think J.J. Redick's probably in a really good spot here. I mean, Bob Iger was a Clippers season ticket holder when J.J. was on the team, and also
he was the number one team
his boss.
Yeah.
And J.J. was working the finals game, so he's a good spot. But we'll have to see where all this thing goes.
There's a couple names you should pay attention to.
Okay.
Chris Paul.
Right.
Very close friend of Bob Iger's. He's sort of a mentor to Chris Paul. Chris recently retired. He's available. Incredible basketball mind. I don't know what that means for him, but I expect they'll be talking.
Yeah, Chris went to Bob's Disney offices to help him clear them out. Put all the stuff in the boxes. So they're pretty close.
Yeah, that is interesting. And, Luka Dončić, so we talked about JJ a second ago. JJ's now in 2 years in, right? Basically, or 3 years in. And he's got 3 different owners.
Let's go back to Luka, though.
Yeah, but Luka now has 5 owners that he's had in 2 years.
Like, he's in Dallas with Mark Cuban, who sells to the Adelson family.
And here's Luka's comment on Twitter today about this. By the way, the thing that sticks out the most to me, I've gotten used to big changes over the last few years.
Well, I mean,
I guess so.
The Luka thing is, I mean, we're starting the Luka era. I mean, the Luka era has been moving very slowly, partly because of the LeBron James thing, new ownership again. This guy is supposed to be your flagship player that you are building a Lakers franchise around. What we know about the Lakers, you get a guy like Luka to come into, you win a championship. That's what the Lakers do, and it's taken 2 years for them to even get out the gate with this Luka thing.
Right.
This is a big part of how they're going to move forward.
Russell Westbrook's Lakers story began with a blockbuster and ended with one of the most emotional retirements of his generation. The former MVP arrived in Los Angeles alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis, creating a superstar trio that immediately sent shockwaves through the NBA. But the fit became one of the league's biggest debates, with Westbrook eventually becoming one of the most criticized players in Los Angeles. Yet strip away the disappointment, and the resume is undeniable. 18 seasons, 7 teams, 209 career triple-doubles, and the 2017 MVP award. He also became only the second player in NBA history, alongside LeBron James, to reach 25,000 points and 10,000 assists. His 2016-17 MVP season was especially remarkable, averaging 31.6 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 10.4 assists after Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City. Westbrook wasn't given that career. He built it through relentless effort, intensity, and an almost obsessive refusal to slow down. And now, after nearly 2 decades, the human triple-double machine is finally walking away. But just when Los Angeles was preparing to close the book on Westbrook, another bombshell hit the franchise. And this time, the shock wasn't coming from the basketball court. The Lakers have suddenly become the center of another earthquake. Josh Kushner and Bob Iger are reportedly buying the franchise for a record $12.5 billion, creating a stunning new chapter for one of the most valuable brands in sports. The timing is what makes this so extraordinary. Mark Walter took control of the Lakers only about 14 months earlier, after the NBA approved his ownership bid in October 2025. Now the franchise is reportedly changing hands again, with the valuation jumping by roughly $2.5 billion. That's an unbelievable number, but it also raises uncomfortable questions.
Walter had described the Lakers as a legacy investment, something he expected to own for the long term. So why is the franchise suddenly being transferred again? There are questions surrounding Walter's broader business interests, including scrutiny connected to an ongoing federal investigation. But those questions should not be confused with proof of wrongdoing or a confirmed reason for the sale.
What is undeniable is the financial explosion. The Lakers are now being valued at $12.5 billion, while the Buss family is expected to retain roughly 17 to 18%. And suddenly, Los Angeles isn't simply watching a new ownership group arrive. The entire power structure is shifting. And this is where the story becomes much bigger than money, because new ownership almost always means one thing: an evaluation of everyone inside the building. Now comes the question Lakers fans should be watching more closely than anything else. What happens to the basketball operation? New owners don't simply write a check and disappear. They evaluate the people in charge. That puts J.J. Redick, Rob Pelinka, and the entire Lakers front office under the microscope.
Redick has an extension aligned with Pelinka's timeline, and his relationship with Bob Iger could potentially work in his favor, but no coach should assume a new ownership group owes him anything. Then there is Chris Paul, a close friend of Iger, and a recently retired basketball mind who could become an intriguing name around the organization. But the biggest piece of all is Luka Dončić. The Lakers traded for Luka because he is supposed to be the face of the next era. Yet Luka has already experienced an astonishing amount of change, and his own comment says everything. I've gotten used to big changes over the last few years. That's not the kind of stability a franchise wants around its future superstar. Westbrook is gone. LeBron's era is nearing its final chapter. Ownership is changing again. Now, Los Angeles has to prove that the Luka era will be different, because the Lakers don't have time to waste. They have the superstar, they have the money, they have the brand, they have the $12.5 billion valuation. The only question left is whether they can finally turn all of that power into another championship. Russell Westbrook's chapter is over. Mark Walter's chapter may be ending. But for Luka Doncic and the Los Angeles Lakers, the most important chapter hasn't even been written yet, and the next decision could determine whether this $12.5 billion franchise returns to the top of the NBA or loses another championship window before it ever truly begins.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.